Hey guys, welcome back to another video. We are talking about Ironheart, as you can clearly see from the title. Anyway, let's get to the point of this video, which is a very quick first reactions to the 3-episode finale of Ironheart. Which, well, I always say it's going to be quick, and then I rabbit it on for 15 minutes, edit it down to 10, and then it's not quick. But anyway, let's get to it. So, what did I think? Well, honestly, I sleptwalked through the first 2 episodes. Of 4 and 5, like I didn't really massively latch on and enjoy them, but I did notice that Riri was actually facing consequences, and you had the interesting setup of magic versus technology, and she was actively realizing that her motives may not have been as cut and dry and as blasé and simple as she thought they were, and she needed to deal with a heck of a lot of stuff. How she dealt with it was very interesting, so I'm going to sort of explain the ending. So full spoilers ahead overall. So I must admit that the first 3 episodes of this show, though I think they could have done what they did to the same kind of effect within about an hour and a half to an hour and 45 minutes plus credits at most, and it would have been a little bit less grading that she took that long to get to the point she did. The fact that they used 3 hours of setup for her to sort of parallel Stark's arc of I'm doing the wrong thing here was, I think, unneeded, and I do still have an issue with the first half of the show. However, they made up for it with the little drops of setup that they had to the finale, and the finale was actually really, really good. I did not think I would be saying this about Ironheart. As I say, I still have problems with the first half of the show, but it made me care, which is a considerable achievement given how much I've talked about disliking the last 3 episodes. So, yeah, fair play to them. I won't say I was wrong about the problems in the first half, but I actually care about Ironheart, which is more than I thought I was going to feel. I will say, however, that I really like the way they set up Mephisto here, and I think they're clearly setting him up for further stuff in the next saga, whether that be the Mutant Saga or Civil War as the next big villain. Secret Wars as another big villain. I don't think they'll show him in Secret Wars, but they might set him up for as a next saga villain that Doctor Strange is probably going to have to step in and deal with, whether that be in a Disney Plus series or more rightfully and likely a movie, because I think they're cutting back on Disney Plus content, understandably. And yeah, Sacha Baron Cohen did a fantastic job here, because I didn't think I'd care about Mephisto with how they've teased him, but I care. Damn, he did a good job. And as I say, Riri getting to learn, basically, hey, I'm actually not grieving, and this has had serious consequences to my ego, to how I use my knowledge, and I need to get better at managing that, was fantastic. And you then see the culmination of her not really knowing what to do when confronted with magic, paying the cost of the Natalie AI, magic always having a cost, and wheedling back in with the Doctor Strange connection was really well done. Well done to the writers there. The fact that they had Riri actually sign a deal with Mephisto, and to those of you that say they left it open-ended, I would agree they didn't show the handshake, but I think they showed marks on her arm when she's hugging Natalie, and obviously Natalie appears to be fully corporeal, and not an AI anymore, so I'm pretty sure she has demon marks on her arm. She's made a deal with Mephisto. It'll be interesting to see if this deal has serious consequences. I would hope that the writers have the sense to follow it up with some consequence. Obviously, they're not going to kill Riri Williams off, because she is essentially the replacement Iron Man, whether we like it or not. That is what she is moving forward. So it's just what it is, and I don't necessarily like Riri Williams as a character. For the last 3 episodes, the next 3 episodes, I'm glad she's learned lessons. I'm glad she's felt some consequence. But I still feel she was enough on the cusp of feeling that consequence and still freshly grieving that it makes sense that she would shake hands with Mephisto. And I think they've left it open-ended to basically encourage theorizing and get people talking about the show, which was, I think, a smart thing, because I'm here doing that very thing right now. But it's pretty sure it's not open-ended, because I think you can see marks on her arm when I slowed it down and watched again. I could be wrong, but that's what I think. Comment below and let me know what you think. But I love the portrayal of Mephisto here. I don't think we'll be seeing him in Ironheart Season 2. I don't think we'll be seeing him in Secret Wars, but I do think he will be seen as a big next saga villain, either the Mutant Saga or a Mystic Saga down the road. It would make sense if they made it a Mutant Saga but had a mystical side to it, and then the Avengers versus X-Men thing comes into it. So it would make sense if they did it sooner rather than later, rather than teasing it and setting it up, for too long down the road. But then again, big setups can work. I mean, look at Infinity War, Thanos, and all that was set up there. So it depends how they do it. I would say do it sooner rather than later, because Mephisto's been teased for so long already, and Sacha Baron Cohen is doing a marvelous job so far, and I want to see more of him immediately. That's just my selfish nerd taking over there. But yeah, I actually cared about Riri Williams, which I didn't think I'd be saying. And I think we won't be seeing an Ironheart Season 2, because I think the ratings are going to be all over the place for this, for numerous reasons. And I think that mostly it's YouTubers watching it to react to content, and then people judging whether they should watch it after people react to it, which isn't a great start for a show, is it? But, so yeah, I don't think we'll be seeing Ironheart Season 2 at all. I'm interested to see the rest of Riri's story. It would make sense if she comes back in for, obviously, Secret Wars in some fashion, and then we see her meet up with Doctor Strange for the mystical side of things, however that's going to take up. I would assume it would be something involving Strange, or Spider-Man and Strange, or a bunch of people and Strange, or Midnight Suns, something like that. I would only say that Spider-Man might be there somehow, because I think that Spider-Man and Riri Williams having a conversation would actually be quite cool, considering Spider-Man messed with magic and felt the consequences of that and had to do the hero sacrifice, basically, and have everyone forget who he was. So I feel it would make sense for those two to meet and discuss magic-related consequence. So that's a hope rather than a expectation on my part. Anyway, so yeah, I'm actually really enjoying it. I'm shocked, to be honest. I'm not making a very good job of this, because I'm actually shocked. I like that they actually set up the magical hierarchy, as it were. They showed that Mephisto is higher than Dormammu in full-on, in him basically just dismissing his name completely. I'm not going to quote it or show the quote here, because YouTube probably won't like me doing that. But then we see, so I like there's a magical hierarchy being set up. Mephisto's teasing actually felt worth it, and just thank God he actually got used, and Sacha Baron Cohen is doing a marvellous job. I don't really like many of the characters around Riri, and I'm starting to soften on Riri because of the fact that she's actually learned some consequence. But it also makes sense as to why she did what she did, and what she did opens up a lot of interesting narratives down the road. Unless, of course, they prove that she didn't do it, in which case, then I don't understand how Natalie could be able to touch her. It could be an AI improvement, but I don't think so. Anyway, it's going to be interesting, and I like the open-ended ending, because it actually makes me intrigued to see what comes next. Or do you think it wasn't that open-ended and I'm just being stupid? Comment below and let me know again, as I say. But the other characters around Riri, I think they let down. Like, Stain's son, Ezekiel Stain, his constant thing is, I'm nothing like my father. You're an illegal black market arms dealer. You are exactly like your father. And you get the same consequence as him. I'm glad that it's sort of like, well, I'm alive, I'm still around, and we're not done with this conversation, because at least it gives me intrigue to see those two characters have complications down the road. But I don't like his entire character is, I'm nothing like my father, you actually are, and the fact that you can't see that is concerning. I suppose it's the same sort of denial Riri was going through, so you could argue that's why. I just don't think it was done very well. Parker was actually interesting in the end, and everything with Mephisto was actually interesting. Him getting a bit of a backstory and motive was good. The fact that Mephisto actually said maybe I should just replace you, and then effectively replaced him with Riri, so the consequences of that going down the line is going to be interesting. So he was actually interesting. John served the narrative purpose, but I still think Riri shouldn't have left him to die, but at least she felt the consequence of that. It'll be interesting to see if authorities are still hunting for her or questioning her when we next catch up with her, but I presume that will be eclipsed by Secret Wars. So I don't assume we're going to see those consequences. I would like to, though, because I feel like that would be a good narrative to follow up with, and then her sort of getting told by an Avenger, maybe Spider-Man because of the Stark's legacy thing, or somebody in Stark Industries gives her a chance and says, Tony couldn't live up to Tony sometimes, you made massive mistakes, but you're going to pay for them. And she's on some sort of like parole program for so long, and she has to be careful how she uses her tech, like actual restrictions, actual consequence, because she did kind of leave a guy to die, and I feel there needs to be more consequence for that, especially if you're going to follow up with the police investigating it and then not show how she got out of that problem. I feel that's a thread we need to see in some fashion down the road. And so, yeah, there is interesting threads I want to see with Riri Williams. I'm actually interested to see where she goes from here. Mephisto is great. Other characters around her I can sort of take or leave. Obadiah Stane's son was let down. I liked that Xavier, although I don't feel he had much of a character arc, actually got angry with Riri and called her out, because rightly so, it is a bit screwed that she is essentially resurrecting the dead through AI, and I don't like it. And you're not meant to like it, and I'm glad she got called out for it, and I'm glad she was thinking the same. Her mother is annoying for 3 episodes, but then actually tries to have parental, conversations, and there is actually some heart there, so that was interesting. But otherwise, I don't feel a lot of characters were given a lot to do. The trans hacker was sort of there, and in a way, I'm glad that they were just there in the background, because I'm glad they didn't make a big deal out of it, but I also feel like it was just a nothing. Do they need to be a big thing, and do you need to make a big thing of their identity? I suppose they didn't, so I'm glad they didn't, because if they made it a big thing and centered the show around that, I think it would have been even worse for the first 3 episodes. A lot of the characters here felt underdeveloped, but I'm actually interested to see where Riri Williams' story goes next. So those are my quick thoughts on everything. They're a bit jumbled. I hope they make sense to you. Comment below, subscribe, like, share, do whatever you will. It's very much appreciated. And to my now 3 subscribers that I've got, thank you very much. It's genuinely very, very nice. I'm very appreciative of it. It's making me want to move forward with this channel and motivating me very much. I just haven't had time at the moment. Hopefully I'll get back to it all soon. And, I never thought I'd have anyone that would really want to listen to my weird takes on things in the nerd sphere of Marvel and DC. So it's nice that I've even got some, and I appreciate it. Cheers. Anyway, that's the end of the video, guys. You can go now.